Everything wrong with Tenchu Shadow Assassins, or the Tenchu game that came out on Wii. Hey, my name's George and welcome to Gaming My Whole Life. Let me make it very clear before I talk about this Tenchu game, I am not a Tenchu hater, and I'm not even a hater of this game that I'm about to rip apart. I'm going to give it its due credit. I'm going to say the good things that I did enjoy about this Tenchu entry, but of course I'm going to follow it up with lots of the bad things that I feel made it too differently from the established formula of pretty much every single other Tenchu game that had ever come out. Now, if you are a Tenchu Wii fan and you enjoyed that game, you think Tenchu Shadow Assassins is your favorite Tenchu entry, good for you. This isn't about disempowering you and making you change your mind. I'm just going to keep it real and say what I disliked about it. You're allowed to like it. I'm a big Tenchu fan. Many of my most popular videos on this channel, I do a lot of retrospectives, I do a lot of modern stuff like PSVR 2, blah 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 blah, but my most popular content is actually my Tenchu videos. I have a Tenchu 1, 2 and 3 review, as well as another video talking about the possibility of a Tenchu remake ever happening. Very popular videos. I love Tenchu. I have Tenchu 2 right there in the background even, so Tenchu fan. But Tenchu on the Wii really disappointed me. I want to get into why. So firstly, I want to very quickly talk about the things that it did good before I get to the bad part, because I'm an optimistic person. I don't like to complain too much. Number one, the graphics. The graphics were actually really good, one for a Wii game, but two, just the standard that Tenchu had already brought to itself. The Xbox 360 game, Tenchu Z, hadn't come out yet, and so this was the visually most impressive Tenchu game we had ever seen. It was definitely better than the Tenchu game, Tenchu Wrath of Heaven, Tenchu 3 that came on the PlayStation 2. Obviously the Wii was a lot more powerful than the PS2, and it showed. The lighting was really good, the character models. I liked that in Tenchu Shadow Assassins. I liked the fact that the camera was actually quite close to both Rikimaru and Ayame, both playable characters. Well done. I thought there was a lot of interesting features about it. I love the fact that when you did stealth takedowns, you did it with motion controls. That was really cool, having the prompt pop up, you know, push your sword into their chest, snap their neck, do all these things. I actually thought that was really cool, and it took advantage of the unique Wii hardware, since you had the pointer and the motion controls and the nunchuck. Very nice. I also liked the emphasis they had on shadows as well. I liked the fact that you could go up to lanterns and blow them out, or throw water on it. I liked the fact that when you would enter an area, you would try to actually look where is the darkest area. It made you roleplay being a ninja the best you could. I like the fact that you could pick up bodies again, you know. Tenchu 1, you couldn't pick up bodies. Tenchu 2, you could do it. Tenchu 3, they lost interest again, so it was just nice to see it, you know, come back and so forth. Now, let's talk about the bad. I'm sure there's more good things to talk about, but I want to talk about the bad, right? That's why I'm covering this video. There were certain things that I really disliked. And now look, the Wii version came out a million years ago. I even made myself watch a long play of Tenchu just to remind myself about things that I liked, disliked, and so forth. And yeah, all the problems I remember when I was younger is still there. So firstly, there's some key components to Tenchu that make it a Tenchu game. One is the hookshot. Two is the combat. These are both very important things, because a good stealth game is a fact that you're trying to be stealthy the majority of the time. You try to do the stealth kills, and the game definitely rewards you with them, and the games deliberately had combat be actually very difficult. You could take on one enemy in your regular Tenchu game. If there was even two, you were probably screwed, so it gave you that encouragement. However, if, you know, the shit did hit the fan, you did have the option of trying to take them down with the sword, and the sword combat of Tenchu games, even though a little bit rough around the edges, were actually quite satisfying, and it let you do really cool things. All of that was gone. The gameplay mechanics completely changed for the Tenchu Wii game, which is really, really weird. So firstly, hookshots, no. The main tool that has been available in Tenchu since the first Tenchu is gone. You cannot look at an environment, decide to climb as high as you can be, look down on your enemy, decide where to approach, you decide how you do that. No. The Tenchu game became more of a puzzle experience with pre-approved areas and pre-approved hiding spots. Whenever you entered an area, you had your shadow area, which if you entered that area, the enemy couldn't see you. Now, while that sounds very good in practice, and for those who maybe this was your first Tenchu game, not a problem at all, For existing experienced fans, this was actually very bad, because that means, one, without the hook shot, that meant that you were grounded the vast majority of the time. It was like you were suddenly stuck to the ground, which is such different gameplay. Two, you would ignore being creative in your approach, because the best way to tackle any situation was you're stuck on the ground, you have your environment around you, have a look around, see where the shadow is, and just go to the shadow, because once you're standing there, the enemy can't possibly see you. If there's any light sources, blow out the light sources, which I think that was cool, but it completely changed the gameplay. No longer was Tenchu this open, explorable sandbox environment where you decided how you would approach, how you would do things, what you would ignore, what you wouldn't. You were basically on a fixed path all of the time. Now, you did have instances where you managed to actually get on the roof and look down at your enemies and so forth, but these were basically far and few in between and pretty much pre-approved. If you could pick up a box, put it to the side and then hop on that, awesome. Then you'd be able to get on the roof for like a very short amount of time, but it made the Tenchu experience feel a lot more smaller. The availability of options in Tenchu games, let's say this circle is your typical Tenchu game, well then this brought it down here into a packed, satisfying stealth experience, but it was no longer a true Tenchu game. Now let's even look at combat, and also what happened when people spotted you, which is actually a pet peeve of mine. A lot of the times when enemies saw you, it was over. It was boom. You know, there's no confrontation. You get spotted, you restart the whole level, which is just such a kick in the guts, right? Like, it just changed Tenchu way too much. To the moment you get spotted, you're at the start of the level. That isn't a slight change, that is a huge change in the Tenchu world. You should have a showdown, and whenever you did have a showdown, even that was drastically changed, because you didn't have a normal sword fight, you had a first person motion sword fight. Now, I'm not against motion controls. As I said, I really liked it that they let you use it to do your execution stealth kills. Very cool. But being forced with the occasional handful of confrontations that you had into a mini game of combat, it would be like turn-based combat. It was very strange. You would get to attack the enemy, so then you just swung your Wiimote controller, you did your swings, you did that, and then all of a sudden, boop, time is out, then it's time for the enemy to attack you, and all you can do is defend, and so you're simply putting your Wiimote in the pre-approved position to block them, and then you went back and forth as the game let you. See, this Tenchu game, Shadow Assassins, did too much handhold, and all of a sudden you couldn't explore the world as you wanted. All of a sudden you could hookshot up to different areas. All of a sudden you couldn't even pick fights and see how you go and have that third person combat. It's like, no. Too many changes. A lot of very good moments in the game. What it did well, and I want to talk right back to the good things and more the possibility and the potential that this game had. One, it looked fantastic, and the implements that they put into this Tenchu Wii game would have been good if they also kept all the old things. If we were able to explore the environment as we did in the other Tenchu games but keep that level of graphics, fantastic. If we were able to do the motion stealth kills, if we could keep that, fantastic. The takedowns were also really good and really elaborated on. I particularly liked environmental takedowns. So if you jumped into a pond, which you could do, which was cool, and you went to the edge of the pond and there was a guard there, you would grab their ankles on top of support beams. You could then hang upside down and snap their neck. There was a lot of instances where if you're hiding around the corner, you would grab them, shove them against the wall, and then kill them. There was a lot of environmental stealth kills, and I thought that was actually really cool. But there was a lot of questionable decisions. You would think that for a Wii game, if you were to throw the shuriken, you know, the ninja stars, you would think that you would use the Wii pointer, what every single freaking Wii game used, right? No, you would actually aim with the thumbstick, which made no sense at all, and then you do that motion once you're already aiming at them. But instead of using the pointer, had a built-in pointer to aim at your enemies and then throw and then have that satisfaction, instead you use analog stick, which made absolutely no sense. And this game could have been big because the original developers were involved in this as well. It wasn't even strangers touching the IP trying to do their own thing. It was the original guys, or at least by name, you know, the umbrella. It was the original guys forgetting what made Tenchu great in the first place. Like, that didn't make sense. You really needed that combat. Combat in Tenchu, I actually think, is fun. It's hard, but it's fun. But that was a third-person aspect. In Tenchu games, you'd have Tenchu itself is a third-person experience. It's not like the Wii game was a first-person Tenchu experience, and so of course you did that. It's like, no. It's a third-person game that all of a sudden became first-person, and even that wasn't free-flowing since it was a mini-game. You attack them as much as you can until the magical timer ran out, and then they attacked you, and then you would have to wait there and keep blocking their attacks until the game gave you permission to attack again. It wasn't like in real time where you're figuring out, I'll block now, I'll attack you now. It's like, no. It was a mini game that you didn't want. And yeah, the whole game world felt so much more restrictive, being stuck on the ground, having the stages reset by being sprung, having those weird encounters. Such a darn shame. That's why I didn't like it. So that's why I didn't like this Tenchu entry. If you manage to enjoy it, good for you. Let's not be immature about this, right? I don't want to be fighting people in the comment section who enjoy the game. You're allowed to enjoy the game, and I'm allowed to have disliked it vigorously. Because of the reasons what I said, I feel I did a pretty good job talking about the good things that this game did. And if you want to remind me of other things down below that you really liked about the game, awesome, go for your life. Anyways, with that being said, God bless you all, take care, I'll see you all next time, bye bye.